Red Bull has done something very interesting with their new car. As the RB22 hit the track in Barcelona for the first time during the private test that started on January 26th, everyone started talking about one thing: the sidepods. These are the parts of the car on either side of the driver, and Red Bull has made them incredibly small. So small, in fact, that many people are wondering if it will even work. Let's take a closer look at what Red Bull has done and why it matters. When you look at the RB22 from the front, the first thing you notice is how skinny it looks. It almost does not look real. The sidepods have a very small opening for air to come in, much smaller than what other teams are using. Most teams have gone with bigger air intakes because they want to make sure their new engines stay cool. Red Bull has taken the opposite approach. They have made the sidepods as small as possible to help the car go faster through the air. This is a big risk, and Red Bull knows. The new 2026 cars have completely new engines with a much more powerful electric system. These parts get very hot and need a lot of cooling. If the car cannot cool itself properly, it will break down. So why would Red Bull take this chance? The answer is simple: speed. The smaller your sidepods are, the less air resistance you have. Less air resistance means a faster car. Red Bull is not completely crazy though. They have spent years working on this problem. They have found clever ways to cool the car without using big sidepod openings. On top of the sidepod, there is a special inlet that takes in air from above. This was something they started using last year, and they have made it even better for this new car. The air comes in from the top and flows down to cool the hot parts inside. This way, they can keep the front of the sidepod small while still getting enough air to cool everything. With Red Bull making their sidepods so small, do you think Red Bull has made a smart choice, or are they taking too big of a risk that could hurt them during races? Here is where it gets really interesting. Racing Bulls uses the same engine as Red Bull. It is built in the same factory by the same people. But if you look at the Racing Bulls car, the air intakes are massive. They are some of the biggest on the grid. This tells us something important. The engine clearly needs a lot of cooling. So how is Red Bull managing with such tiny sidepods? The trick is in how Red Bull moves air around the car. This is where their years of experience really show. Instead of just pushing air through big holes in the side, they guide it carefully from different places. The inlet on top of the sidepod is one part of this. There is also a bigger airbox above the driver's head that helps with cooling. And there are outlets near the back of the sidepods that let the hot air escape in a way that actually helps the car go faster. These outlets are called cannon exits by the people who study these things. It is a funny name, but it describes what they do. They are the first of their kind on any 2026 car. Instead of just dumping hot air out the back, Red Bull uses this air to help the flow over the rear of the car. This can give them more downforce and less drag at the same time. It is very clever engineering. The shape of the sidepods is also unusual when you look at them closely. The part that protects the driver in a side crash sticks out quite far from the main body. This creates a very narrow profile for the rest of the sidepod. It looks a bit strange, but it allows Red Bull to meet the safety rules while still keeping everything as slim as possible. Looking at what other teams have done makes Red Bull's choice stand out even more. When you compare the cars side by side, the difference is huge. Mercedes was first on track in Barcelona, and their car has much bigger air intakes. They have 2 extra inlets on the sides, plus a big one in the middle. This is a safer approach. It means the car will definitely stay cool, but it also means more air resistance. Ferrari has also gone with smaller cooling, similar to Red Bull. Their air scope above the driver is very small, but Ferrari has bigger sidepod inlets to make up for it. Red Bull has gone small in both areas. They are betting everything on their clever air management system working perfectly. The big question that everyone wants answered is what happens when these cars have to race for real. Testing is one thing. The cars do not run at full power all the time, and they can come into the pits whenever they want. A race is different. The cars have to run flat out for almost 2 hours. The engines and electric systems get much hotter than they do in testing. If Red Bull has not left enough room for cooling, they could be in trouble. On day 1 of the Barcelona test, Red Bull looked strong. Isack Hadjar set the fastest time and completed over 100 laps without any major problems. This is a good sign. It suggests that the cooling is working, at least in testing conditions. But we will not know for sure until the first few races of the season. The people who design these cars have to make tough choices every single day. You cannot have everything. If you want more speed, you often have to give up something else. Red Bull has decided that the speed from smaller sidepods is worth the risk of running with less cooling. Other teams have made different choices. They have played it safe. Only time will tell who got it right. What makes this even more interesting is that Red Bull built their own engine for the first time this year. They worked with Ford to create a completely new power unit after Honda left the sport. Nobody knew if it would be any good. Building a Formula One engine is one of the hardest things in motorsport. The fact that they are willing to run it with minimal cooling shows a lot of confidence. Either they know something the other teams do not, or they are taking a huge gamble. The sidepods also have some other interesting details. There is a panel near the top that might be hiding something. Technical experts have spotted what looks like an extra inlet between some of the sponsor logos. There are also supports for the bodywork that look similar to what Ferrari has done. Both teams seem to think this area of the car is important for performance. For the average fan watching at home, sidepods might seem like a small detail, just some bodywork on the side of the car. But in Formula One, small details can make a big difference. The teams spend millions trying to find tiny improvements. If Red Bull has found a way to run cooler with less bodywork, they will have an advantage that is hard to copy. Other teams cannot just make their sidepods smaller overnight. They would have to redesign major parts of the car. That takes months. The Barcelona test runs until January 30th, giving teams 5 days to learn about their new cars. Over the next few days, we will learn a lot more about whether Red Bull's approach works. If they keep running without problems while other teams struggle, it will be a sign that they have done something special. But if the car starts overheating and breaking down, questions will be asked about whether they pushed too hard. Red Bull has won 4 Drivers' Championships in a row with Max Verstappen. They have been the team to beat for years now. They know how to build fast cars. But this year is different. Everything is new. The engines are new, the rules are new, and the challenges are new. Even the tyres are different. The tiny side pods on the RB22 show that Red Bull is still willing to take risks to stay ahead. Whether that risk pays off is something we will find out very soon. The first race of the season in Australia is just weeks away, and that is when we will really see if Red Bull got it right.